I am Gilbert Karitu Njoroge. I'm a pastor at ICC Nairobi. We serve there together with my wife Emma. We are the family pastors, and I'm also a mental health coach.
Thank you. So as you said, my name is Emma Karitu, and Karitu is seated right here. I'm also a pastor at ICC Nairobi. We serve under the family ministry. Besides being a pastor, I'm also a mental health coach, and I'm also a counselor, a counseling psychologist to be precise. And we've been married for quite a while, and God has blessed us with 3 beautiful daughters. We have a loving son in love and a granddaughter who just turned 1. So we are so grateful to God. So our story is very interesting, because it's a very unique story. Way back in 2005, our church was rolling out a program, the Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. It was a 40-day study guide, and our church leadership had requested for about 500 hosts to be able to carry out the study for 40 days. So the Lord spoke to me to just register as a host, and I signed up. But when I went for training, I realized, or rather orientation, the pastor in charge that time was called Reverend George Nuth. He gave me a list of 15 people. Then I told him, hey, Pastor, 15 people. I'm just starting life. My house is small. It could sit comfortably, 8 people. So I told Pastor George, I can only sit 8 people comfortably in my room. You've given me a list of 15 people. Then he told me there's a guy in your estate, who also signed up to host, but he didn't come for the orientation. So he gave me a name, and I went and I knocked, and I introduced myself. My name is Emma from ICC. I want to give you this number of people. Then I can take this number of people. Then immediately, like the same evening, I remember it was on Monday evening, he tells me I have such great memory, and I was dressed in red. Like, I clearly remember that day. So he told me, let's go around knocking all these doors, and let's see whether everybody is still interested in the study, because the sign-ups had been happening for about 2-3 months. Surprisingly, when we went round, each and every person confirmed. So that was on a Monday evening, and the study was to begin the other week on Wednesday. So he was to go to church for the material, but we were using, they were called what? VHS machines.
There was a video cassette.
Yeah.
And a small booklet.
Yeah.
But when I went to pick, there was only one remaining.
Yeah.
So we agreed that I will host, because my house was bigger, and she becomes the leader.
Imagine he gave me a condition that I can only host if you become a leader. Anyway,
that's how we met.
That was the first time I saw him, and we actually hosted the study for 40 days. We became friends. We connected in a very special way. We'd start a sentence, I finish. I remember even at some point, my pastor asked me whether there's anything between us. I said, no, I'm just the leader. He's just the host, So, but he can tell us his version of what happened after the 40 days of purpose.
Yeah. A number of things came to light. I had signed up. No one called me. So I just assumed they had found enough hosts. So on Monday, I remember it was a Monday, and I was staying with my younger brothers. And we had a bell, and I thought it was one of his friends. So he ran out. He came back and said, there's a lady asking for you. So I asked him, what does she want? At 7. I'm a Jehovah Witness. So as I was in this living room going towards the outside, I had a knock. And the reason why I'm sharing this is prior to that, 2 years before, I was watching TD Jakes on one of the Valentines, and he was sharing how they dated with his wife, and he said that a lot of people don't know what they're looking for. So you need to write down 10 things you want in a spouse, and those things should come from the heart. So the following week, at some point, I got some time, and I wrote the 10, and I was very intentional. And it took time. I thought it would be easy, but it was tough, because you have to get rid of the Hollywood stuff and the movies and all these other things, and I wrote the things that I thought were important to me, God-fearing, loving, etc. So when I wrote that, I prayed over it, and I let go of that, that list. And later on, I went for a worship service one morning, and the person who was sharing was talking about Genesis, where Abraham was looking for a wife for Isaac. And in the middle of the service, this lady, it was a pastor who was preaching, she said that there's somebody here, God is saying, your wife will come knocking at your door. So when we first met, I had no intention that she's my wife. I didn't know her. So fast forward, we've served, we meet once a week, we interact. In the course, we got to do a lot of things as leaders in church, and I enjoyed her company. She was a good friend. And so one day, about 6 months later, I come across the list. I was just cleaning up the house, and then I just wrote on top, Emma. And I was surprised it was word for word and in order, the 10 things I was looking for in a spouse. But there was something amiss. She was a single mom. She had a daughter. So I asked God, this list, there's nowhere a child was involved. So, and for about a couple of weeks, I battled with that, what a coincidence that she has fitted this 10. And so God convicted me. So I told her I want to visit her daughter in school when she's going to visit, as the way parents go and visit. But I didn't hint anything. Because in my heart I said, if we don't get along, I'll know it's a bad coincidence. But if we get along, I'll know she's the one. So we met this beautiful girl, very shy, very quiet.
Like the mother.
Yeah, so we hit it off, and that was, for me, was one of the confirmations. And so that is how we met. And with time now, I proposed to her. I had not proposed to her, and I have not told her you're my girlfriend.
We were just
friends,
volunteers in church,
we were just
serving as leaders of small groups. Small groups are our fellowships that we have once a week, and people volunteer to host in their house. So as I mentioned earlier on, we were just leaders. We were just leaders, and maybe I can share on my part. For me, I had really, before turning 30, I had really wanted to get married. Like for 5 years, I kept on praying for a husband. But it reached a point, I said, you know what, God, even Paul served you and he was single, yeah? And I said, if it is your will for me to serve you as a single mother, then I'm okay. I was so content with my life. I enjoyed my life. That time we were not in ministry. I was serving as a HR in an oil industry, but serving in church, looking for every opportunity to just go and give of my services to church. So at that point, I wasn't looking. And maybe that's why our story is so unique. I wasn't looking. I was only serving God. And I told God, if it is your will for me to get married, you will bring that man. I will not even struggle. I will not even pray about it because I've prayed, and I reached a point, I said, you know what, it's never that serious. I can still enjoy my life as a single mother, give my daughter the best life, get her to a very nice school, just focus on her, my career growth, and just be happy. So we were not even thinking, like both of us were not thinking of marriage in terms of, because even him, I don't know whether I can share it, even him had tried to date, but it wasn't working until now. He came across that video by TD Jakes, and he also settled. Like 3 years, it's amazing. For me, 3 years before that, I said, I'm content. I will serve God as a single mom. And for him, he had said, you know what, until I meet this person with this list, let me also just focus on God. So both of us signed up to host and just to serve God. So at that moment, even when we were going to visit our daughter right now in school, I was not, we actually went with him and his cousin, and in my mind, I was so clear. In fact, I met one of the fellowship days, we met an auntie of his there, but she was small-bodied, so me I even thought she was his girlfriend. Yeah, like for me, I was so clear. Me nataka tu serve God. I just want to serve God in this space. Sikutaki kujipatia my hopes. Yeah, so it was just purely serving God. So even when we went to visit our daughter, I didn't know. Now he told me much later. So even when he got that list and he told me that I'm his wife, you know, like it was like, oh yeah. And then now, yeah, immediately, like, I told him I also want to confirm. I didn't have a list, but I really needed a man who is prayerful. I needed a man who would love my daughter like his own. Now, in that season, I was praying for a spouse. I really wanted a man who loves my daughter like his own, but first of all, loves God. And I had confirmed he really loves God. So even by the time we were going to visit my daughter in school, they connected, and my daughter was shy. She never used to, you know, in fact, as she was growing up, I'm the one who used to get for her friends. Yeah, that's how I was making that fun that she's quite like me. I would knock the neighbors like, can my child pray with you? You know, like I got for her friends. So when they connected, for me, like, wow. I didn't think of marriage at that time, but now when you told me and I looked back in retrospect is when I realized actually they connected. Yeah. But yeah, so that's how so what we did, we actually called our pastor again, and you know, he had asked, and I laughed it off because I think God showed him or something, because now we told him we want to buy you, we want to meet you for pizza, and we met at Oil Libya. That time it was called Oil Libya. Now it's what? Ola. Yeah, so we met up for Bellevue, and he started laughing. So for us, we just went straight into courtship. We didn't date. It was just pap. We're thinking of now, yeah, getting married.
Yeah, I think for us, because I think one thing about relationships, once you know what you want, you need to define or take charge of where you want to go. And so for me, I think I'd spend enough time with her, doing a lot of ministry. So I felt dating is when you get to know someone. I felt like I'd already gotten to know her. And one of the best ways to date is when you're meeting without going to a restaurant. Because when you go to a restaurant, you bring your best food forward, and there's so much, there are a lot of distractions. So I proposed to her, we went to a nice restaurant, and once she agreed, we began that journey of courtship. So we spoke to our pastor, and then from there we began our thinking through how to go about it. For us, when we met our pastor, he warned us. He told us we are from two different tribes. I'm a Kikuyu, she's a Kalenjin. And so he mentioned that there could be resistance. And so for me, I think when we met our pastor, it was sometime in September. So I told her I probably would want to visit in December, and at least we have some days off, so that I can travel to Eldoret and meet our parents. But I also spoke with my dad and mentioned to him, and he was very excited. And so I told him also that there's a baby involved, a young girl, and he said it's okay, he will support me, and I felt quite relieved.
come January, so that was September, November, when we were letting now his parents know. Me had already like whispered to my mom. So when January came, one of the things that we did, we enrolled for premarital counseling. We enrolled for premarital counseling in January, and I thank God for our church ICC. It has a very comprehensive prima class, which took like 10 lessons, yeah, from communication in marriage, intimacy, financial management, dealing with in-laws and extended families, dealing with personality paradox. How do we understand each other's personality? And finances I've mentioned, conflict management. So that really helped us, in terms of preparing for marriage. So as we are going through the prima class, we're also looking at service providers and all that, because we really wanted to get married on 1st of May. And so the process of Koita going to Eldoret, we decided to do it not far away, too far apart from the wedding. So it was interesting. We did it on 26th of August 2006, and on 30th of September is when our wedding date was. So because I'm the one who was in Eldoret, but the very first visit now that was official, because in his culture now he has to come with an uncle and a cousin to come and meet now my parents. So the first visit was here in Nairobi at my parents' place in Kileleshwa. And then now the Koito process we started. And for us, Koito is a big deal. It's actually like a wedding, yeah? So we did our Koito on 26th of August. And one of the things that we did as a couple, which we picked from prima class, we need to be each other's advocate. Like I should be his advocate to my family, he should be my advocate in his family, and ensure that I make it easy for him, the whole dowry negotiation process, and even him, he makes it easy for me. So that one we really ran with it, because the moment people think that your in-laws are in the US, they think they have money or something like that. So there's the aspect of exploitation, and most of the time it is not even parents, it is extended family or people who just want to come and take advantage of the ceremony. Yeah? So I was really I talked to my dad at a very intimate level, and he was able to manage our family.
The father told us that everything will be done at the Koito. So we sat down and we gathered information. She gave me a lot of insights. And so because of the roads, that time the roads were not good, we said for us to be in Eldoret early in the morning, we need to leave here on Friday, just a small team. And then the other teams would join us in Eldoret on Saturday morning. Yeah, so for us, we planned for a couple of weeks, a couple of months. And so August 26th at 9 o'clock in Eldoret, we were about 90 who had come for the Koito. For us, it was a culture shock. It was very nice, beautiful. We really enjoyed ourselves, and it is so memorable, and we still remember up to this day.
Maybe what was the shock? I think the shock that they had, in our culture, they don't serve food before you do the negotiation, and we don't receive anything. So now in the Kikuyu culture, they come with kiondos, and they want to greet you guys and give you the gifts. But they were told, they wait outside there, So then they came with that mindset that maybe they'll start with food and then the negotiation. So when they were told, first, wekeni vitu pale kando, then now the people will come in. Once they agree now is when now people can have lunch.
Yeah, that was only one aspect. I think there are many things that were different from the Kikuyu, Rurashio, and so here we are in a foreign place. No one is talking to us. We are very serious. We are told once they agree is when we can now, they will tell us what to do next. Then there were so many people. So we were really, it was memorable. We were treated well. So we can't say we complained with, So the first section, once we agreed on the dowry and we paid, we were able now to move to the second section. There was mursik and a lot of things that were new to us. Yeah, so it was very interesting. So and we really enjoyed ourselves, and we all got gifts. That's not what happens. there was introductions, we gave gifts, we received gifts, and it was very beautiful. One of the things probably we didn't mention, we were planning a koito and a wedding at the same time. Because the koito and the wedding were 3 weeks apart. So I think we had planned for a small wedding initially. We had said we don't want a committee, we want just 50 people, and we agreed as a couple, the way we were taught by the church. In church we were told a wedding is having rings, having a pastor, and a few witnesses. That is a wedding. Hizi vitu zingine ni extra. So we had worked with 50 people. And as it would be, our families both refused. They said these were the first weddings on both sides, and they don't know who to invite and who to leave out. So we agreed that they also come in and share in some of the costs. So the initial wedding date was in May.
1st of May.
1st of May. But because of relatives being abroad, that was not possible. So we agreed to move the wedding to September. And so in the process, we missed out on the church. Because now the church in September, when we were ready, someone else had a wedding. So we did a garden wedding at Nairobi Academy. And one of the things that really helped us, we had a high quotation for food and other things, but we were able to bring it down.
Our dream wedding, my dream wedding rather, was to get married in church, inside the sanctuary. And one thing with our church ICC, people book, we have so many weddings, so people book way in advance. So since we had booked 1st of May, and if that is the date we wanted, our mom could only get leave, or rather could only travel to Kenya in September. So we had to, it was a very interesting conversation that I had with her, because now when she called and she said, you have my blessings to do the wedding, but I'm not able to come in May. I told her, no, if you want to be there for a wedding, I mean, we can move it. So she was so surprised that, wow, I've never seen a bride moving her wedding. I said, you see, you're the mom and you need to be here for the wedding. And it came with so many blessings, because for us, we didn't want to start off with debts and all that. So we had said 50 people wedding, 25 from each side. That is the amount we could afford as the two of us. But now when our parents took charge, and then now one of the things we said, in the spirit of cost cutting, we were going to hire my gown. So I requested my sister-in-law to buy me some they're called what, pearls, yeah? So when I told her, please don't buy the pearls first, seems like I'm not getting, I still have to go around looking for a gown, yeah? Immediately my mother-in-law called me and she said, you've not told me that you don't have a wedding gown, and you know me, there's anything I struggle is asking for something. So she actually blessed me with a beautiful, beautiful wedding gown. She came with it. She actually shipped it for us, plus his wedding suit. So we were really blessed. She came in like 3 weeks into our wedding, and we had settled for a caterer, But when mom came in, she was able to sit us down, get her wise counsel that, catering, they charge even like 1,500 per plate. It's going to be very costly. And then the food sometimes for catering, we've attended a wedding and the chicken was bad, yeah? So she said we can cook. We just get a chef and focus on food. Unajua harusi ni chakula. If we ask somebody, how was the wedding? Tulikula. But if food gets finished in a wedding, oh my goodness, it's such a big deal. People, they'll not remember you had an imported gown. They'll not remember your bridal party was like how. They'll just remember tukukula hiyo harusi, chakula ilisha kwa laini, yeah? Or if the food was cold or bad, yeah? So we focused on food very warm food, very well balanced food, but at the same time fresh, because at the morning of the wedding, not the day before, like on Friday, the people went to Marikiti to buy the vegetables and all that. And then we went to a wholesale, yeah. So we were able to get rice and flour and all that from the wholesale. But as I look back, I look at our parents, the way they'd given so much to people. I always say, if there's a lesson that I've learned, love people, give people, not giving with an intention of them giving back to you, but it comes back to you. So so many people wanted to give. I think mom and dad had helped so many people in their lives. And somebody would just say, I'm going to give chicken, I'm going to give meat. Like, people really gave towards our wedding. We had a lot of food. We had almost like 1,000 people coming for the wedding. And I think there was dad's friend who gave us mbuzi. Like, we had nyama choma in our wedding, yeah. So yeah, the planning was not easy. And now, because we had to start looking for new service providers, we had to start looking for a new venue, because now the church was already taken. We literally had to change everything from the service providers. Even now, there were ladies who were in my lineup, and because of the change of date, they also had to drop off. So those challenges came, but we thank God that we were able to go through it. Yeah, and we ended up having such a beautiful wedding. And I think my highlight for the wedding, or maybe the day of the wedding now, it was raining. It actually started raining maybe, I think, around 2 a.m. And the night before, I was at the salon until midnight because of the last minute plans, yeah. So when I got home, there was, looking even for a place to put my head, yeah. I went, squeezed myself somewhere with my cousins, and at 3 a.m. I was up. So I woke up, and the house was full because we had relatives from Ushago. And I really wanted to pray. Especially because it was raining. So the only place I could pray was in the toilet. So I went and I started praying, and I went into, serious prayers, and I don't know how long I took, but I remember the highlight when I opened that toilet door. Everybody was there. My uncles, my aunties, our family has Muslims, it has Catholics, it has AIC, it has all manner of religions, yeah. So this Pentecostal thing, ICC is a Pentecostal church, yeah. So they were like, "What is the bride okay?" I told them I was just praying, yeah. So, and that prayer was very effective, because by the time we got to church at 10, there was sunshine. It ended up so beautifully, though it rained later in the evening, but during the ceremony and all that, since now we had to do a garden wedding, we were not using the sanctuary, so everything was in the open. So God really blessed us by holding the rain during the ceremony.
I think the weather was good.
Yeah.
We got to see so many people. We had plenty of food. We even had the machoma. I was surprised. So, and there was so much joy and laughter.
Mm.
And we had an uncle who gave us a good, what was that band called?
The band, I can't remember the name.
Yeah, but they did such a good job, and everyone had fun.
Mm.
Yeah, so really, for me, the highlight was just getting to go home with this lady. It's always a highlight. And also, our parents, when they came to Nairobi from country, they formed friendships with other couples. So that evening, we had our parents' friends who we've seen growing up. They hosted us for dinner, and I thought that was very special. They gave us advice, and I think for me that has always remained very memorable, including everything else. Yes.
I think the other highlight that was there, when we came back now from the photo session, and we are seated, somebody came and whispered to him that the sodas are not. They whispered to our best man. Then we got to hear that hakuna soda, like sodas haziko, and the person who was in charge was not picking his phone or something. So I made a decision. I'm going to enjoy my wedding. I'm not going to think about the sodas, whether they come or not. it is okay. After all, they are just sodas, yeah? But there's something that God makes beautiful, especially if He has ordained that union, yeah? Because when they said that, actually, no, it was not after the photo session, it was immediately after the service, and guys were serving food as you were leaving for the photo session. So we just said, serve people food and give them water, kwani, you know. So they were served food and they were given water. But now the beautiful thing, when we were coming back from the photo session, and as we were being served, the sodas came. So even when I went back to work, people were like, hey, Emma, see you pangaed your wedding well. Then you're not watching you guys eating. You're taking sodas as you guys were eating. But it was by default, yeah? But God just made it beautiful that it ended up well, yeah? And the other thing for me, as you were exiting the service, I had picked a song that I wanted us to dance to. And then the DJ is putting another song, and I'm like, oh, that is not my song. Then I had to make a decision. Do I frown? Do I start sending someone to tell him to change the music? Or do we just flow? So I just told him that is not our song. Then we made a decision immediately. Let us just flow. So I think every wedding has some hitches. But if you take it positively, like you don't allow it to stress you, it ends up beautiful. So we just danced into that song that it wasn't my first choice, but it ended well. Yeah, so.
We were very intentional about some of these discussions.
Mm.
I remember one time we went to one of the parks. She says one park, I say the other, but it was at a park. It was either Uhuru Park or
Arboretum.
And we agreed, we write 10 things I would not want her to do. And 10 things she would not want me to do. We call them the 10 commandments. So we went and we discussed. So that way we got to understand each other, the boundaries, what not to do. And then the other thing we discussed was expectations. What are your? I explained to her what my expectations of a wife would be, and she told me her expectations of a husband. And as we discussed, we were able to, in a light way, or just see where we can help each other, give each other more grace. But we were able to remove a lot of, frustrations that come when expectations are not met. So I think that for me was one of the things that has really helped us even up to date. That we were able to discuss our expectations and what not to do. So I don't know about.
No, I think for me it was, as you said, the foundation that we laid. Just going through premarital counseling, getting to work with our pastor, getting to work with our best couple. It really helped us because most people get into marriage without having mentors. You can have mentors for every other thing. You have a career mentor, you have a financial mentor, but you don't have a mentor for your marriage. So, of course, it was a very new space. I started working at a very tender age, and I was used to my space, and I was also used to, if I come from work and I am tired, I can take bread and tea and sleep, or I can just take fruits and sleep. But now I'm in a new space that I need to cook for this man. I need to, I need to serve him. I need to share the house, because you see, when you're in your own space, like one of the things that was so interesting about us, I don't like using the mosquito net, but he uses a mosquito net. So just coming, meeting each other at some point, it was a struggle, yes, but with intentionality and just saying, I'm going to die to self, because marriage is about dying to self and thinking of the other person. So I said, so we had to have some conversations. Yes, I'm going to accommodate this. Hapa sidhani nitaweza. So we had to give and take. This I'll give away, this you will take, so that none of us is feeling frustrated. And sometimes you discuss some things. Yes, we are not agreeing because I'm a woman wired differently, he's a man wired differently. So one of the things that as we got into that space, we started reading more, just investing in our marriage. Yeah. So it was a new space, but very interesting. Of course, it was lonely and cold. Now you have this friend. When I had so much stress at work, at that time I was in the corporate space. My husband would be my sounding board. I come and tell him, today in the office, this. And he was a good listener, So just having that companionship, knowing that I'm not going back to an empty house, because our daughter was in boarding school. So just knowing that I have somebody to talk to in the house, I think for me, that was key, as I also try to adjust to accommodating in this new space of us as a couple.
The first day I went home, she was still on leave from work, and I found 2 thermos. And I thought to myself, there must be some visitors coming. So I asked her, who's coming? And she said, why? I said, 2 thermos. She said, one is porridge, one is tea. So I asked her, okay, for who? And she told me it's for you. And I told her, that is too much. But one of the things that we had to adjust is to learn each other's strengths or how we operate during the day and evening. For me, I'm not a night person. So I think one of the things that we used to struggle with was in the evening, she tells me about her day, I tell her about my day. And then once I eat, my system starts shutting down.
Mm-hmm.
And in the morning, I would find her a bit sulky, moody. I wonder what happened. But I could just remember until where we ate. Beyond that, I couldn't remember anything. So one day I told her, to avoid frustrations, anything you need to discuss, do it during the day. We can even meet for lunch. But at night, keep it light. Once I doze, that's it. And so it's important to understand each other's personalities, the best times to talk, understand, how to be friends. And we were very intentional about being friends. The other thing, she taught me how to exercise and jog. So we do that over the weekends when we were courting and after marriage. So it's important to also have those hobbies that keep you together. And you grow healthy at the same time, have things that you can do that are not stressful and enjoy each other's company. It's important to have a teachable spirit, because I had not been a parent before. She had been a parent, and now a parent of a daughter who was in class 5 at that time. So I think we went for parenting classes. That was the first place, and then we agreed as a couple what to do together in terms of how do we handle requests, from the girl. How do we need to be on the same page, and then at the same time, what is the discipline? How does it look? So that is what we did. However, the girl in question was so obedient, and so I really didn't struggle, and we got along, and for me it was very interesting to just to get to know her and bond with her. And do fun activities together, So swimming, etc., and just learning to be a parent for me was important.
Yeah. So as just to add on to what he said, having been a single mom for like almost 8 years, and God blessing you with a husband, and now you're coming into this new space. Of course, I had to prepare my daughter. Yeah, and actually one of the things that I did in my mind, I said, I think I mentioned earlier on that one of the qualities that I wanted in a man is somebody who will love my daughter like his own. So if you're out there and you're single, or maybe you're in this kind of a relationship, just ensure that you accommodate the child, as in discuss about it, yeah? Because even for her, it's something new. It was something new, like, are you ready? You know, we were so close together. In fact, you're sharing a bed, yeah? So now we have to make all these adjustments. You have to be in your room. I have to sleep with this man. So now how do we adjust? But I thank God for her, because even for her, she had prayed for her father. So I think the place of prayer, because she had really said, like, God, I'm praying to get a daddy. And so when he came, at least it's something that she wanted, yeah. But we said earlier on, you're also mental health coaches. I'm a therapist, and sometimes you come across such cases where a child has been brought into, a relationship is there, a child is involved, and then the man feels like maybe this child is, there's a wall, yeah. So I normally tell parents, yeah, how can you accommodate the man? How can you accommodate the woman? It could also be it is the man who has a child, yeah. So you need to have those serious conversations, yeah, even with the child, and especially the area of discipline, because sometimes I see, like, if like, using our case as an example, maybe you would have said, I'm not going to discipline her because she's not my child, literally, yeah. And or maybe it will affect our relationship. But if you've decided you're marrying this man and he's a single father, or this lady and she's a single mom, take that role as a father, as a mother. Be able to discipline that child, be able to nurture them, be able to help them in their spiritual growth, like 360 degrees wellness for that child. Like, we had to agree, if we are going to, like, what we agreed, if we go to his place, I'm the one, like, doing the shopping or giving the money, and if it's our place, is the one. So conflict doesn't come in because of in-laws, or even the children. They can really manipulate, yeah. And I'm telling parents out there, be on the same page. As you parent these children, be on the same page. But just to respond, we had not put children there in our 10 commandments, yeah. But we didn't want to get a child like immediately. But I got pregnant like the following year. So it wasn't an easy journey, but we had to again adjust. I think it's very important to adjust in every situation that God brings our way. But we saw God come through for us in such a big way, and we've been able to just lay that foundation of God's word to our children.
It's also important to be involved. So go to the school, just be involved in the child's life. That really is very important. I think for me, I was involved and we discussed. Children are little human beings. They understand a lot of things. It's only sometimes we underestimate. So one of the things we agreed as a couple is that we will not do some things in front of children, in front of our daughter. We will not shout, we will not argue, call each other names. So it's important how you handle conflicts. You agree as a couple before the conflict comes. Don't, when your heart is beating fast, then you say, let's put some rules for conflict. So we had agreed on what not to do, especially when you're arguing. And I think for me that has really helped, because marriage and conflict are, you cannot separate the two. These are two different people from two different backgrounds. You will not always be on the same page. You have one gender, emotions, logic. So how do you handle conflict? Discuss that before you enter into conflict, because conflict will be there. And if you are not careful, if you don't handle it well, you damage the relationship.
So one of the things also that I want to talk to couples out there, because we've done it ourselves, is investing in your marriage. Yeah. We make all other investments. We are therapists, and we see this every now and then. Yeah, so you invest in very good schools for the children. You invest in a very good dream home. You invest in very good properties, except your marriage. So I would want to urge us. There are so many opportunities out there. What we do for us, as we put a budget for school fees, as we put a budget for investments, as we put a budget for shopping, the budget for the house, we also have a budget for our annual couples retreat. Every year, in fact, 2 weeks ago, we just came back for our 11th couples retreat for us to attend. We attend conferences, we attend workshops, we attend boot camps. So if we invest in our marriage, because what happens, you get into marriage, then the children come, then there's all this pressure at work, there's all this pressure in the family. You do everything else except the two of you. You stop going for dates, you stop, and I normally say a date doesn't have to be expensive. You can even take soda, Uru Park. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it's just those spending time together. So invest. People need to invest in their marriages. If you hear of a conference somewhere, go for it. If you hear of a retreat, go for it. If you hear of maybe a workshop, just invest in your mind. Read books. There are so many books. Love and Respect, From Anger to Intimacy, His Needs, Her Needs. There are so many books about marriages out there. There are movies about marriage. We've watched so many movies, yeah? So just that intentionality, because what happens, way forward 10, like our children are now 11, 16, and the other one got married last year. Yeah, she's 27, turning 28. So these kids will leave us. They are going to, the 11-year-old in 10 years, she'll be 22, off in campus and all that. So as they leave the house and we become the empty nest, if we didn't invest in ourselves, we'll be strangers. And that is why we are having cases of women are going to the US to take care of their grandchildren because they lost each other somewhere. Yeah. So invest in your marriage, learn your spouse every day, understand that's a man, me I'm a woman. Like I like using this illustration. If I put a number 6 and I tell the wife to stand this side and the man this side, the woman will look at it as a number 6, but the man is looking at it as a number 9. But they are both right, but now different perspectives. So spend time to understand the woman's spaces as a man. Spend time to understand the man as a woman. So by so doing, you meet somewhere and you stop being frustrated in trying to change the person. Because what happens also, most of us get into marriage thinking I'm going to change that man. And the men think my wife will never change. Me, I was not this size, by the way. I was... But every 10 years, women change mentally, physically, the children come and all this. So, but the man is still thinking it's that kind of naive girl that I married, yeah, but they change. So just, instead of struggling to change your spouse, how will I understand them? And how do I invest in the marriage so that as the children leave, we still have each other? You have been hanging out with the Karitus, and this is our love story.